Okay, we are live.
Okay. Oh, it's still not. Okay, there it is. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn you're out, good vibe.
And in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me, all three of us together, not in the same room, but on the same computer or in the same computer sphere. Paul Packler and Corey Pepper. How are you guys? I've missed you.
Dun da da da! Scott Jones is back.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All three of us in the same place at the same time. Well, not in the same place, but
Yeah, well, Google's a place.
yeah. Oh, you're right. It is.
Technically, not at the same time because it's 3 hours difference from where I am to where
Right.
you
It is. In the same moment of time and space.
So everything I said is bullshit. So
yeah, you're a liar, Scott Jones. On top of everything else,
liar.
How you been, Scott? Have you enjoyed not watching Family Ties?
Yeah. I've been listening to the podcast. Corey, you beautifully recited my text messages to you guys. It was gorgeous. It was. I mean,
That wasn't the week you could have missed the show. I may have characterized you as a bit whiny in my speeches.
It's understandable. But it comes from a good place. I can see the whininess.
Does it come from a good place?
I'm not sure if it did. Really. Remember, I was on Magic Jeff Sessions weed at the time.
I know. Look at that, Corey. We were so prescient with our talk of
like a 2 days before reality.
It was
unbelievable.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant episode.
You come to Quality Time with Family Ties for the Michael J. Fox fandom. Stay for the prescient news analysis.
Right. Because if there's two things we're good at.
And what's really good is if we can kill 40 minutes or so not talking about the episode, then I think we've done our job.
Gang, this episode. Scott, do you want to give us the title and whatnot?
The title, guys, if you're playing along at home, we are on season 6, episode 17. The Play's the Thing. An
allusion to the play Hamlet. It's a line from the play Hamlet.
A good play.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say about this one. What's Steven's play called?
Oh yeah, A Draft Card for the Burning.
It's a good title.
Is it?
No, it's not.
No. But to say that. Oh, go for it, Joey.
I was just going to say, we've learned that comedy to the producers and writers of Family Ties.
Family Time Daily.
That to the producers of this show, bigger is funnier. They've had big books, and now we have a big ass play, close to 600 pages, I would say.
Yeah,
that's realistic.
I mean, there's a funny or true anecdote about Dan Aykroyd where he wrote the screenplay to the Blues Brothers, and it was 300 pages long. Like, he had done a lot of coke. He wrote a script. He brought it into John Landis, who was like, Danny, this isn't how movies work. I'm just going to cut it down. And then they were able to make the Blues Brothers, which is arguably a good script.
Yeah, it's a good. I love the Blues Brothers. There's a piece of me that would like to see the 300-page script the Blues Brothers made.
Yeah, I think it had backstories to literally every member of the band. Like, whereas you got like a little episodic thing for each member of the band, this had, I think, complete biopics for each one.
This could be a Netflix series
of the Blues Brothers. That would be cool.
That would be really cool.
Except you're both overlooking one major problem.
Yeah, I know he's dead, Corey. I know John Belushi's dead.
And your suggestion makes me think they're going to get Jim Belushi. So I don't want this to happen.
I would not want a Jim
Jim
Belushi
Belushi is having a moment, though, you guys. He's been in a couple things where he's actually been good.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I think he's probably a terrible person, but he's done like 3 parts in a row where I'm like, oh, that was a good performance.
Yeah. And guys, we're all actors here. We've done community theater. This show, as if community theater couldn't be even worse than it is, this insults community theater.
Oh, it insults the art of theater. It insults Thespis.
Acting as a whole.
Thespis, the original actor who stepped out in front of the Greek chorus and spoke alone, inventing the idea of an actor.
Yeah, it's... Oh my God. So for our listeners, basically what we're going to be looking at today is Stephen, back in college, has written a play called A Draft Card for the Burning. Reference to the 60s and everything. And Elise was the star in it. And the backstory that they give you in our very opening scene, that when Stephen was the director of this play in college, he got a little too wrapped up in his ego, as we've seen before. And Elise said it was kind of a nightmare. He got really jealous of the person playing opposite her, and it just wasn't a good scenario. And now the Columbus Community Theater is going to put up Stephen's old play from the 60s.
Why?
And 2, Stephen wants to cast Elise in the lead role, a part she played 20 plus years ago.
Again, why?
Why?
Sequoia Free.
Yes, that's the name of her character. Great name.
It's funny because in the 80s you had all these people that had been having kids and they named them weird hippie names like Moon Unit Zappa and Dweezil and Ahmet Zappa, where people were like, I mean, that's all the same family, but you get the idea. There's like Rain, or the Phoenixes, Rain, River, yeah. Like that. In the 80s, it was a big funny thing to make fun of ex-hippies kids' names, or that hippies changed their name into weird like Rainbow blah blah blah. And
right.
This is a comedy trope that they're playing with on Family Ties, where I just remember back then, oh, a kid has a weird name, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
We find out that Alex was called Moon Muffin.
Yeah, that was his nickname. That's a big trivia question for Trivial Pursuit, which you see in the background of the second scene, that they own Trivial Pursuit.
Now, I've missed missed a bunch of episodes this season. Is every episode pretty much starting off at the kitchen table and with Andy? That seems to be like every time I tune in, it's every single episode, Andy and a sibling at the table.
Yes. God forbid it should ever be a parent.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's kind of nice. It's kind of like how, every season of The Sopranos would start off with Tony going to get the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. just like this episode compares itself to Hamlet or Shakespeare, I don't think we get to compare this to The Sopranos.
You don't think so?
No, we don't. No, absolutely not. No. Okay, I have a question. This question was bugging me the entire time. The kids see this play as bad, which they're right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
But during our next scene, so everything I just said is basically established in the opening scene, the kitchen, in the kitchen. They're holding auditions. Everyone seems to think this play is brilliant.
Well, nothing makes sense. There was zero thought put into any of this episode.
Right.
It's just like the most cursory throwing shit at a wall.
That's what it is. Slapdash is the best I could come up with. It was a slapdash thing. Yeah. To think in the second scene that they would hold auditions in their living room in Columbus, Ohio, and to think that actors would show up with 8x10 pictures and resumes in Columbus, Ohio for community theater. They're taking professional theater knowledge and imposing it against Columbus, Ohio community theater standards, and I don't think they measure up.
No.
Well, remember, Columbus, Ohio has that bustling art scene. It's only logical that a theater scene would be springing up.
It is so stupid. Now, here's my idea. We announce in the very first scene that Steven's gotten jealous about the men who play opposite Sequoia Free in this play. Mm-hmm. So they go and cast Dentist Jeff playing this part of Beauregard. Is that the role? Randolph. I'm sorry, Randolph. And they cast him. Now, wouldn't it have made more sense if they had cast, say, a younger, good-looking guy so that Steven would actually get jealous?
Well, this is what I totally agree. Yes, Corey. I think that, to me, what this should have been is exactly that, where it's like he wants to cast Elise again, which he says in the first scene, I want you to play Sequoia Free again. And she's like, Steven, I didn't enjoy it the first time, and now I'm too old, or it's 20 years later, I don't want to do it again. And it's like, you know what would have been cool is none of them are the right age to play the young versions of themselves. And they would have to, through the play and the casting process, be like, oh shit, we're the bad guys now. That would have been interesting, is like having to like confront their own age, that they aren't the young whippersnappers, and they would have to cast a young person. Like maybe Elise would still have the part, but then, like you're saying, Corey, have a young guy, have the rest of the cast be young, and she doesn't fit in, and Steven doesn't fit in, and that would have been very interesting.
Oh, that would have been brilliant, Paul. You could even do this. You could even have it where Steven is forced to have Mallory play the lead. All right, and he's insecure about having his daughter kiss someone on on stage, or he has issues with how the young whippersnappers are talking about the '60s and dealing with it. They have like no passion for it.
Yeah,
that would have been much
it almost
better.
Fits in with the idea of what the show is ostensibly about, which is dealing with kids who don't agree politically with their parents. It's crazy, I know. But it's sort of what the show's been said to be about.
Once again, at Quality Time with Family Ties, we have written a better episode.
So in this scene, Steven continues to act more and more like a child, with his sweater wrapped around his shoulders and his theatrical foppishness that he's decided is his character as a director, because we all change characters when we get a job. And the scene ends with sort of a faux balcony scene between Steven and Elise, with her standing on the balcony and doing the lines sort of cursory, and it really being a dream come true for Steven. He's found his Sequoia Free.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Corey, that it's a very interesting directorial choice, because do we know who directed this episode?
Yes, we do know who directed this episode. That would be the lovely former dancer, Debbie Allen.
What? Whoa! That's so crazy. Why did she direct this?
I guess she was doing a whole bunch of Cosby shows, and, they threw her another NBC show.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved for her. I really hope, like, on the first day of her coming on set, like, she went into the writer's room and gave that little monologue she does at the beginning of Fame. Her ass, write a good episode. Yeah, can we talk about I don't want to dwell too long on the auditions, but I love that the audition is Randolph saying one line and Sequoia saying one line, and that's the audition.
Yes.
That's it.
And I love that he makes different choices with different actresses. He's really, I appreciate that as an actor, he wants to branch out and try and experiment with each audition, that he's not doing it rote.
Yeah. And,
good for him.
Yeah, he knows he has the part,
Does he, though? Because he keeps... This joke is the worst joke I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He keeps telling Steven how much he loves the script, and Steven is like, quit buttering me up. You've got the part. I get it, Randolph. Or I get it, whatever your name is.
Jeff.
Dr. Jeff.
Yeah. Which brings the question, are there really jokes in this episode? Like, set up punchline jokes?
No, there were no jokes.
I couldn't count one. There were no jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a very select audience for anything where it's a meta theater joke in other media, like, Shakespeare in Love, anything, Noises Off, anything that's stuff about the movie industry or the theater industry, it's going to ring more true with us than others. But it seems like it's a pretty easy thing to make fun of. And I think that a lot of people appreciate it, don't they?
Yeah. Those shows you just mentioned are huge hits. So it's not just a niche audience watching those,
And it's the jokes sort of write themselves when you make fun of actors and when you make fun of the theater community. And they couldn't make one work on this show. I don't know how that's possible.
Nothing rings true in the whole episode. Everything seems like a put on. It's almost like they've written a sketch comedy instead of written a sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not based in reality. It's overwrought. It's overblown. She says in that very first scene, he's jealous, he's pompous, he's theatrical. And that seems to be the three directions everybody got the entire episode. Be jealous, pompous, and theatrical. That's the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was also disturbing, and this is going to get into our next scene, is, again, at the very beginning of this episode, of this play, of how bad it went for Elise. And of course, Steven is trying to, push this of Elise retake play. But you've already set up exactly what we're going to see in the upcoming scenes, that Steven is going to get jealous. It didn't naturally happen. You already have you didn't need to even need to give that whole backstory about the history of Steven's play. If we didn't know that, then maybe it would be a little bit, slightly more surprising if he gets jealous. But you've already told us what happens when he directs his play. So nothing is interesting.
This season a few times where they basically tell us in the first line what's going to happen. And then they just give us that and nothing more.
Right.
And that's weird. It's like, you guys you wrote a premise, you didn't write a story.
Yeah, it's so weird because, again, this is sort of what Shakespeare does too. Think of like Romeo and Juliet, where it's like two households, both alike in dignity. The prologue of Romeo and Juliet, they tell you that they're going to die at the end. And then you watch the play, and as a ninth grader reading Romeo and Juliet, you're like, who would want to see a play where you hear the beginning or you hear the end at the beginning and then watch it all occur? And somehow Gary David Goldberg was like, no, that's a great idea.
Right.
I still don't know why people do that.
I don't get
Tell
it.
the end at the beginning.
I don't get it.
Corey, are you there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we lost the video, so I didn't know if you were still on or not.
So we get to this next scene. They're in the middle of rehearsals. And this is where we don't really see the rehearsal going on. It's Elise going into the kitchen and with her, she's in the kitchen. They have her outfit that she's going to wear, which they keep having this continuous joke that it's about the size of a handkerchief. And Steven comes charging in, saying that she was making a big deal of something, and Elise points out to him it's happening all over again. And she's like, every time I get close to Jeff, you stop the scene. And Steven's joke is, Jeff, that's a little personal. He's Dr. Cooper. So it's like none of this we could have seen actually happen, which is a classic trope right now of Family Ties, that they don't show you the stuff you want to see.
And they do show us the stuff that we don't want to see.
Yes. Which is just these conversations. Oh, God.
I just Steven is such a shitty character in this episode. Like that he goads and cajoles his wife into doing something that he wants her to do. And then when she finally like is like, fine, I'll do it, just so that way you'll shut the fuck up. When she does it, he can do nothing but bitch and moan. And like she's not doing it right, or she's being too sexy, or this or that, or this makes him uncomfortable, and that makes him uncomfortable. We only get to see so little of this script, but in the script, it's all like this, Gary Sue stuff, where like his character Randolph is like the coolest dude with the hottest takes, and like is so hippied out, and he's the one in charge. And then her character, Sequoia Free, just goes in and is like, "You're the hottest," and then kisses it. And it's like,
yes.
that Steven wrote this when he was 22 years old or whatever in the 60s. Fine, it's misogynist as hell. But like, fuck you, Stephen Keaton. You're a real piece of shit. I just want everyone to be aware that Stephen Keaton, again, is not the guy that we all knew and love. That in seeing him, warts and all, the warts overtake the all part.
Yes. Well, and you point out something really true, Paul, is that it is like, the character of Randolph is like everyone adores him and women adore him and everything. But then they also have comments like from during the audition scene, like the women are saying she's such an independent, free spirit. Like she's
Which
a great,
is not the case.
indicate like she's a great female empowerment there. And it's like, no, there's nothing that we see that shows that at all.
Yeah. Because, we see so little of this draft card named Desire play or whatever it's called that I just...
and then they seem to show us the same scene over and over again. They don't even expand the play at all so that we ever get to know what the...
Yeah, because in that case, you would have to actually write a play.
Or you just write another part of the scene. Like, just give us another portion of the play. That's all you have to do, you lazy-ass writers.
Yeah.
This is the scene where this happens. They give 5 lines. 5 lines for that scene. That's it. Oh, God. And then, okay, so we have this one rehearsal scene, and then it automatically kind of just jumps to, like, opening night, right?
I think so.
Well, we do have a commercial break in between, though.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, before we start talking about the play itself, or the performance, do you want to take a break?
Please.
Okay.
Back and see the play.
Yeah, with that, we'll be right back. Exit stage left. And we're back, pursued by a bear.
And it's so jarring because we have this one rehearsal scene, which really isn't a rehearsal scene. It's just a conversation in the kitchen. And then all of a sudden, it's opening night of the play. That was quick. And Skippy's the stage manager. It'd been nice to maybe have a couple bits in rehearsal of Skippy.
Yeah,
well, there's some jokes for you.
Not only is Skippy the stage manager, but Nick gets to stand backstage.
I forgot about Nick.
He's not in the show, but he's standing backstage.
He's the only guy. He's the only guy who has long hair on this entire show, and he can't be in the hippie play. Come on.
He's an artist, yet they couldn't even give him a bit of like doing the set design or something.
Yeah, that's true. The set design would have been. Here's another one. If we're gonna rewrite Streetcar, the Streetcar story.
Yeah,
I don't even know what it's called. But like, what if he's the one playing Randolph?
Yeah,
and he's playing Randolph, so he has to be the Steven character, and Steven has to like be like, "Oh shit, I hate you because you remind me of me."
That's brilliant, Paul.
Yeah, like if you did even 5 seconds worth of thought, you would make this episode better.
We are 45 minutes into this, and we have given so many, like at least 5 better plot lines than this piece of shit.
Oh, if only the DeLorean existed, we could go back in time and tell them how to make it better.
No, don't let them get credit.
That's all right. I'll give Debbie Allen credit. That's fine.
All right, for Debbie Allen, I'll do it. Yeah.
So this is another scene. Well, this act starts with Steven acting more progressively and progressively insane. It really bothers me when you have a character who has never been portrayed as insane before, and then all of a sudden they start to act insane.
Yeah. So what happens is, okay, so Steven has given instructions during the rehearsal of no kiss for Russell and Sequoia. Because he deep down is uncomfortable with it. But personally, he deep down is uncomfortable with it, but he covers it up by saying, I want you to give a high five. Give a high five. That's something that no one's seen before. It's passionate. All right? And so during the play, both actors have an issue with this. So during the play, Elise goes for it and kisses Russell, to which, to comment on Corey's comment about insanity, he freaks out and starts blowing his whistle to stop the play and then closes the curtains.
And the audience is completely asleep, so they don't even notice that, because we keep getting cutaways to the audience who are bored to tears.
Right. Yeah. No one is like, yeah.
That was what just happened. What you just heard is so much more exciting than the play itself.
Maisie, you want to say hi to everybody?
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Maisie. Hi.
We're talking about a very boring show. Okay, you got stuff to do. I get it. She's smart enough to know.
Get away. Get far away.
Yeah. Okay, and so this next part, Maisie's actually a good follow-in into this next part because I missed a lot of this last ending scene because I was juggling these two.
Yeah. So Steven goes backstage after he's closed the curtain and no one knows what's happening. And so he starts yelling at everybody. He yells at Randolph. And I just want to bring up the fact that the actor playing the Steven cipher is a dentist in the show. So he's like Dr. Jeff. And
right.
You remember in the other movie about a community theater, Waiting for Guffman, Dr. Pearl was a dentist. It's very weird to me that the leads in both these plays are played by the town dentist.
It feels like it's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It was done to great effect in Waiting for Guffman. In this, not as much.
Yeah. No, not for listeners. If you were in the dental community, is this a thing? Like, are dentists secretly really aspiring actors? We want to know. Tweet us.
Actors all want to be rock stars, and dentists all want to be actors.
Right.
And so Steven goes around throughout the cast yelling at everybody, especially the guy who plays Peter Goodvibe, who we know as the boring beatnik that Alex went to the reading of. Remember?
That's right. That's right.
That's that guy, John Wall or David
Wall.
Yeah. And he was the voice of the therapist in A My Name Is Alex.
Right.
So
the guy
Steven
has range.
Fires. Yeah, he does. He can mumble his way through anything.
Yeah.
Steven fires everybody, and then apparently they're going to keep the show must go on.
He fires everybody, and then what was his plan?
Is that when he has the epiphany, guys, where he's like, no, I wrote the part of myself, so I'll play it. Is that when that happens?
Yes, that's the epiphany of and we switch to the next scene, which is now the entire Keaton family in the show. It goes from chaos, everybody quitting. I'm with the dentist. The dentist quits, and now we cut to the Keaton family production of burning a draft card wherever.
Which, if you had started maybe with that idea that this is what he wanted to do, like I want my whole family in the show, that's way better.
Yeah, that's true.
At least slightly more interesting and comical. like nothing they set up, not the jealousy or anything else, pays off.
Nothing pays off. There's no set for a payoff. You need a setup, and nothing is set up in this whole episode. Nothing makes sense.
I think that it feels like the past 2 seasons of Family Ties is nothing pays off.
Nothing pays off.
Like Alex plays so where the opening of what we announced for this episode, Peter Goodvibe is the part that David Wall plays. So Alex plays Peter Goodvibe, and like it brushes up against humor when you see Alex, who hates hippies, playing a hippie and talking in the jargon of hippies. It's like adjacent to funny.
Why? And the question I have is, while we three agree that it is funny adjacent, the audience seemed to think it was diaper funny. Like, I'm going to piss myself. It's so it wasn't.
Did they use laugh tracks on the show, or do you think the audience was laughing?
I mean, they have people in the audience, but then they sweeten it depending on what the hell they want.
Yeah.
And
it really felt they didn't sweeten it that much. Like,
No,
there
I
were
definitely-
not a lot of laughs.
I thought that was pretty damn funny.
And they really couldn't, because since there was no setup punchline jokes, you didn't know where to put in the laughter, really.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing. The scene that's happening this whole time that we keep coming in and out of when Steven fires everybody and then he comes in and plays the main role and all this. It's a sit-in in a university, which was a thing that happened in the 60s where there were protests, and then the kids, the students on campus, would take over administration buildings to protest different policies that they disagreed with. And so, like, the scene that we keep coming into and starting over and over again is a phone call coming from the dean to the hippies who have taken over the dean's office, talking about their agenda. And so that's the scene. Ta-da!
Yeah. And the dialogue is so weird and strange. It's like poem than dialogue.
Yeah.
It feels like she says, "Oh, come, oh, my diamond in the rough from Buffalo."
Oh my god.
That's a line.
It does. Yeah.
That's a line. Like, it feels like that everyone's speaking in like poetic verse.
Yeah, there's nothing to say. It's just
there's nothing.
It's mind-cripplingly bad.
And you know what? When you're in a show, here's a thing. When you're in a show and you need to sing badly, like you guys actually sing, and then you play a character maybe who's drunk or a character who can't sing, and it's a very fine line of singing badly in quotation marks. So that way it doesn't destroy the show, or the audience isn't like, this is terrible, why am I watching this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you've had the experience before,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be known this character can't sing or doesn't sing well for a reason. Yeah.
But it can't be too bad.
No, it's that middle ground of it.
And this episode, they're trying to make the play and the dialogue bad. Like we're supposed to laugh at how pretentious it was, or how naive and old-fashioned it is, or stuff like that. But they are doing bad. It's not good bad.
Right. And you can't have even that if people are commenting on the play being good. Like, just the fact that it gets produced, that someone selects it, and then actors are like, yeah, this is great dialogue, Steve. You can't have it both ways. Yeah. It doesn't work.
What did you say, Corey? I couldn't. It broke up. Corey?
That I agreed that it was just it's not worth. There's no payoff. This is awful.
Yeah.
That nothing works, and that last scene is nothing short of disgusting.
So all of a sudden, Steven and Elise are alone on stage together. The moment that he cherished, the reason this episode exists is so that Steven and Elise could act this moment out that they did when they were 22 years old. And then Dr. Jeff comes back.
Yes, he wants to be back in the show again.
Oh, God.
And so all of a sudden, Steven and Dr. Jeff are saying the same lines of dialogue, but there aren't any comedic bits. It's not like, at no point do they ever say the same line at the same time, which is the most, like, the
Obvious.
first thing you would think of as a funny thing, where it's both of us saying, "My darling, I love you," or it could be anything that could be done ironically to humorous extent. It's confusing, and so when you're confused as an audience member, you're not laughing, and so it fails in every metric that you could imagine. This scene that's supposed to be the capper of the episode.
How hard is it to do that bit? It's an easy bit. Like you just said, the obvious thing is have them say it at the same line or have each other react to each other saying the line. It's not that hard. Jesus Christ, Family Ties.
Jesus Christ, Family Ties.
Let's get that on a t-shirt.
So the episode, at some point, he does the high five with Elise, Steven does, and then turns to Dr. Jeff, and Dr. Jeff does the same line, and instead of giving a high five, he starts kissing her, and then Steven starts getting upset. Alex comes from backstage and runs on stage and jumps onto Dr. Jeff's back. There's a fight, the curtain closes. Again, this is supposed to be like a climactic event, and no one cares.
It's so funny just hearing you describe it. Dr. Jeff was beaten to death by the Keatons on stage.
This Keaton family is a menace. I can't imagine what their neighbors think.
Oh, God.
I mean, from other students at the high school who have to deal with their shit, or college for that matter.
Yeah.
All of the cheating that was done for the quiz games on public TV, where Steven would cheat for his family.
For his family.
Then they take over the community center, and they do a play, some masturbatory nonsense play,
and beat up ridiculous stuff. Oh, God. Well, guys.
That sound means the show's over. I just as a closing thing before you wrap up and take us out of here, I really thought when I read the description of this being a thing where it's like making fun of a play, or that they do a play. Yeah, because I mean there were these episodes of Head of the Class, the show that was like the reverse, the 80s version of Welcome Back, Kotter, where it was a gifted class, where they did Little Shop of Horrors, they did Hair, and they did one other episode on Head of the Class. And as a kid, I loved those episodes. It was like a cool thing to see these characters do something different where they're playing parts. I always thought that was cool. And going into this episode, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those episodes.
Yeah.
And it so wasn't.
It wasn't. I think you texted us this morning. It's like, they have made this joyless. And they have. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for today. For questions and comments, be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter for updates at QTWFT. Each of us is also on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily insights and reviews into the geek pop culture spectrum, as well as publishing its own independent creators. We like to thank... it's been forever since I've done this. Paul, help me.
Wait, I thought you were reading it. Are you not reading it?
No, I don't have it in front of me. I'm on the video screen.
What was the one that you said? What was the last one you said?
I did. Barb, our producer.
We'd like to thank Bryant Dillon for editing our show. Bryant is the co-founder
of Fanbase Press.
God. Why did you do this to me? I don't have it either.
Putting you on the spot. We'd like to thank Sean Foster, Fanbase Presses graphic designer, for designing our logo. And music.
Perry Adams.
Perry
Who
Adams.
beautifully performs the theme song without us. I will have a better grasp. I'm rusty, guys. I'm rusty.
It's all right. We'll get you there. We'll get your lines together, and you'll be able to do the monologue at the end, just like Steven and Sequoia.
Yay! That's it, guys.
Bye.
Have a great week. Bye.